What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Project Time Garage. Today, it's another Pathfinder episode. What? 2 Pathfinder episodes almost back to back? Say it ain't so. Yeah, it's so. If you recall from the last video I did on this thing, my goal was to kind of finish sprucing it up. You know, when we bought the thing, we dragged it out of a field for about like 900 bucks or something like that. And we did a lot of work to it. Timing belt job and fender, and recharged the air conditioner, painted the grill, put replacement headlights in it. It's got a new set of tires. The brakes have been gone through. Has new windshield wiper blades. We put an entire interior in it out of a junkyard. I've since put a steering wheel, a replacement steering wheel with a horn button cover and all that on it. And also just the other day took care of the headliner because it was looking kind of a mess. Really, the last couple of things that I'm gonna do to this really is just some beautification, just to kind of give it a little bit more curb appeal and make it look not quite so ratty. Here's the idea. So looking down the side of it, it looks like inside this little body seam or body crease, a lot of the paint seems to be chipping off in these areas, right? And I think we can fix that reasonably easy. I don't know, maybe even some of this right here too. Also, in another video, we took care of hanging this fender, which is technically the wrong fender. It doesn't have enough of a bulge. It wasn't a four-wheel drive fender. And we painted it what I thought was going to be the correct color, but it turns out that wasn't the correct color. And you can see the contrast between the factory color and this color. It's not good. So that needs to be taken care of too while we're at it. I also took care of repainting these quite a while back, and I just kind of did a quick spray. Unfortunately, on this side, I got maybe a little bit overzealous, and I think that maybe solvent pop, I don't know. But anyway, that needs to be sanded back down, and it's just trim and bumper paint. So I need to take care of that. I also repainted the spare tire thing a while back, the spare tire carrier or whatever. It looks pretty good. It's definitely better than what it was. So unfortunately, it's in the lower 60s in the garage today. It's actually way too cold to worry about doing any paint work whatsoever. So we really shouldn't be doing any paint work in here today. So today we're gonna paint the car. And this is what I'm using. Went to my local O'Reilly and got the actual paint code for the truck from Nissan. Had them mix up some, I believe this is Nissan Select, if I'm not mistaken, is what O'Reilly uses in my area. Had them mix this up. This should be the correct color for the truck. And we're gonna just kind of rough and scuff these areas on the side. We're gonna tape off at that body line right there, and we're gonna spray it, and we're gonna clear it. And for the clear, we're gonna be using just this cheapo Duplicolor perfect match stuff. If you look at the rest of the truck, yeah, it needs a whole paint job, but I'm not giving it one. I don't think the truck's worth a full paint job personally, or at least it's not to me. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I did kind of, last night, I was out here just kind of playing around a little bit, and this door up here, apparently at some point it had gotten bent. Looks like maybe it got bent back, and they took a pair of pliers or something and just kind of shoved it back around. Anyway, all this paint was technically missing all the way down. It was just a rusty mess. So what I did was I just came in here, and you can see the spray line right there. I just shot some of that new paint on there, let it dry for, you know, tack up for an hour or two, and came back and sprayed a couple of coats of that cheap clear over it. And of course, we've got way more of a sheen here than we do on the rest of the car. In fact, the whole thing really on this side doesn't really have much of a gloss to it at all. But what I'm hoping is that I can wet sand some of that out and kind of blend that in a little bit better, and, you know, get out the polishing compound and repolish that and hopefully make it kind of match so it's not quite so noticeable. But I'll tell you this, even white paint with technically too much gloss isn't going to stand out like all that missing paint does. No way. And also, let me put this disclaimer out there. I am not going around and fixing every chip in this truck. I'm just trying to get the big stuff out of the way and maybe do a quick once over polish of it with maybe a fine cut compound. Call it a day. So not looking for perfect, just looking for better. It's kind of my motto. Not perfect, just better. As for this fender, it won't be a very big deal. I mean, I'm just gonna basically tape up all the stuff that I don't want shot, and it's actually nearly scuffed now, but I'll clean it up and scuff it really quick, lay the paint down on it, and then come back and shoot the clear over it. In fact, I will probably put the paint on this fender first because, well, you know, it's easier to do. So let's get started. Just a little bit of cleaner. That's right. Okay, at this stage of the game, if you're a paint and body guy and you're a professional and you're really good at this, yeah, I already know. Best thing to do is just close your eyes for a little while and just let it happen, right? I know that we could take this thing and strip it down and give it a full-on paint job, or I could send it to a professional to have a paint job done. But here's the thing, guys. I've sent plenty of stuff to professionals. Obviously, I can't come anywhere near that quality of work, but the thing is, I've yet to ever run into a professional that I could go to and say, hey, can you just kind of clean up some of this mess? Everybody's like, no, if my name's on it, it's gonna be a 100% perfection paint job that looks like glass. And that's great if it's, you know, if it's grandpa's 41 Ford hot rod. This is a 95 Nissan Pathfinder. The car's worth $3,000 tops. I'm not putting a $9,000 paint job in it. Hell to the no. So this is how we make it passable, and that's what we're after. So if you want to make it passable, you kind of have to do it yourself. Anyway, I have some new attic vents installed in here. These things are cool. They are Bluetooth. Check that out. So this would be my Shop South fan right up there. Shop South. And I'm just going to run a timer mode. So click. And there it goes. And my Shop North fan is right over there. I can kick that bad boy on. Now at this point, there's a whole lot of negative pressure coming in here. I've got the HVAC system. It's running. Obviously it's running overtime because it's 34 degrees outside. Those fans are on evacuate mode, so they're bringing the air out of here. So that should help some with the paint dust. I have both of the decent cars covered up. That one's not covered up, but the paint job looks like hell anyway. I'll wear one of these and we'll paint this fender. See that right there? That's because my finger got over the top of this thing. Okay, we'll give that a second or two to tack up. Shoot another couple of coats on it, see what it looks like. All right, while that's tacking up a little bit, let's go to the other side and get set up to do that. All I'm gonna be doing here is just kind of feathering out all of these little places down through here. We'll probably have to throw a little bit of primer on these. Once I'm done, I'm just gonna tape off the top and bottom of this line. Gonna shoot. So what I have is some 220 on a sanding sponge, or half of one. And what I'm doing is I am kind of feathering out each one of these. Now you'll see I've gone through all the way to the metal, and that's because the paint chips are already through all the way to the metal. So ideally it's better if you can, you know, preserve the primer coat, but we can't. So anyway, let's go. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Scotch-Brite pad and I'm going to run the entire length of this seam, because I want to make sure that the paint hopefully sticks at least as good as it was before. Could be better. Okay, next step is we'll just clean it thoroughly with an approved cleaner. This would be invisible glass. Very much approved by me for what I'm doing here today. No more, no less. All right, next we'll do some wax and grease remover just to try to remove any oils and contaminants that happen to be in there. Now we just need to put some paper on here to kind of help mask it a little bit. All right, this is the hill I'm going to die on, I guess. So we're taped up there. I'm going to get a little bit of primer shot on this. Notice the stool down there. My idea is, since that's not a straight down shot, hopefully the paint like overspray will just kind of fall on the floor as opposed to on the running board. But if it falls on the running board, I don't really care, because, well, the running boards are rusted out anyway. I need to get them replaced. I might do that, I might not. All right, I have a filler primer here. I don't really need a filler, but it's fine. I'm not gonna go too crazy with this. I'm just gonna try to concentrate more on the areas where the metal is exposed. Not looking to build up a whole lot of extra stuff to have to sand away later. I'm going to call that good on the primer. Okay, it's been about an hour now, and it's time to put a little bit of clear on this front fender. And I'm going to use this Perfect Match stuff because I just have a ton of it left over from another project. Yes, I've got a gallon of Mason Select Clear sitting in there I could mix up and shoot, but way better for small jobs. It doesn't shine as good, but that may be a good thing. It might match the Pathfinder better. Who knows? Anyway, let's paint. Okay, that first coat is a really light coat, and I'll probably do another really light coat, and then maybe try to, you know, pour it on there a little bit more. Try to get a little bit more of a sheen to it. I don't know. Like I said, this stuff only sheens so much. Well, while that's drying, let's go ahead and this stuff here, this primer dries extremely quickly. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of color over the top of that. See those drips? My finger's getting in the middle of it again, but I'm wearing the glove, that done it. Okay, let's give that a little bit of time to kind of flash off a little bit. We'll put a second, maybe a third coat of base on that. And hopefully in a few minutes our fender will be good, but actually you can kind of see right there that it's looking pretty decent, or it's looking decenter. Anyway, yeah. Maybe a couple more coats of clear on this will go a long way. I don't know. Okay, it's time to hit this fender again with some clear, and hopefully it'll start looking a lot better after this coat, and hopefully I won't pour any runs in it. We'll see. All right, we'll give that a little while and we'll see how it's gonna, you know, how it's gonna lay out for us. Well, this is how our fender came out. You can see some sheen to it. Now, it's not as shiny as what you would expect to see on like a brand new car or something, but if you look at the sheen on this and all the orange peel on this, I'll bet it's going to be pretty close, especially since I'm going to go ahead and take, I don't know if I'll use a high speed or not. I might go ahead and just try to buff out some of this existing paint. I know this much. I'm not going to do anything as far as color sanding or buffing on this panel until I get the rest of the truck done, because what I'm afraid of, if I buff this and try to cut it down, it's going to end up shinier than the rest of the truck, and that's going to be a dead giveaway that, man, there was major work done right there, which you might be able to tell that anyway. I don't know. But I did notice that this side of the truck, this entire side, it's way shinier than the other side. I have a feeling that this has been repainted. Things like clear coat chipping up there all the way down the top, and you know, that just kind of screams another paint job, especially considering the clear coat on the other side, just fine. It's not going anywhere. So I'll bet that on the other side is the original paint, and this on this side probably has been re-hit at some point in its life. So this side will end up probably a lot shinier than the other side. But hey, you can't see both sides at once, so who cares, right? It's my motto. Anyway, while this paint is still a little bit soft, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off our masking. That'll give me the best opportunity to screw up the paint. Also, it's a whole lot easier to, you know, pull it off now versus later. So let's get going on that. That is a way better match than what I had before, for sure. You can tell that the paint's just a little bit newer, I think, right there. But as far as the sheen goes, man, it is really, really close to what the hood is. Matches pretty good up back against this door, even though I didn't do any blending at all. That still works out. I got to get all this sanding dust off of here. Yeah, I'm way happier with that. That looks so much better. Now we just have to do the seam in the door. That should be adequately painted by now. So let's go ahead and don our mask and try to run some clear down the side of it, see how that works. But I got to be really careful on this one. I can't pour that clear on. I gotta try to purposefully not make it very shiny, which shouldn't be hard for me because I can make shit not shiny just by not even trying. Well, there we go. That's what we ended up with. Not so bad. I mean, you really can't tell that much where, you know, where we did the repair. But I will tell you this, right here on the door, you can sort of see a little bit of a difference there where the paint line ends. Not exactly perfect, but I think we can do a little bit of, maybe a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper or something and maybe clean that up just a little bit. Also, while I was at it, I took the time to respray this because it was so ugly. I probably should have sanded it a little bit better right there, but it is what it is. Also took a second and reshot this. I just used semi-gloss black from Depot Color. That seems to offer the best balance between sheen and overall appearance. So there's that. Another thing I took care of was this piece up here. This thing was, well, all of the vinyl had came off of it over time, and it was just left with some yucky looking plastic. So I went by my local fabric store and I just bought a roll of just vinyl, just gray vinyl, some spray adhesive, and basically pulled it down and recovered it. It took like 30 minutes or something like that. Turned out pretty good, I think. It looks a lot better up there anyway. Well, I think the next thing we should do is get the high-speed polisher out, and let's see what we can do as far as making this old paint look a little bit better than what it was. Well, for our next step of the paint process, I'm going to go ahead and take the existing paint and give it just a quick buff. I'm going to start out using the this Meguiar's number 2, which is a fine cut, almost a cleaner compound. It's not very aggressive, but I think it's just aggressive enough to start bringing this paint back a little bit. And when we're done with that, we'll go ahead and jump into a glaze. And for the glaze, we're going to be using the 3M Perfect It. This is a high-speed machine polish, so all the tiny little swirl marks and stuff that are left by the fine cut cleaner, this should take it out. We're going to be buffing this with a high-speed buffing wheel. This is a DeWalt, has a variable speed, weighs about 93 pounds, so by the end of the project your arms feel like jelly. But in addition to the adjustable speed control on the back. It also has a variable speed trigger, so you can really kind of dial in your your buffing. So you don't want to go too fast on this. You don't want to sit in one spot for too long. A high-speed wheel will absolutely burn your paint. It's unforgiving. You just have to be very careful, particularly around edges and corners. You'll burn through and before you know what happened. So I would recommend, if you're going to do something like this, start off with a finer compound than you probably need. Keep your buffing speed lower than you need. I usually keep a spray bottle of just tap water along, and as the paint starts to kind of get cakey, you can mist a little bit on there, keep everything moist, and just work. Now, let me show you what I've done so far. It's just kind of a test bed. I'm not sure if you can make out in the camera or not. There's a big round spot right there. Yeah, there you go. See, we have no gloss on this part of the paint, gloss on that part of the paint. This is what I'm expecting most of the car to come out like. Basically, to make that happen was this foam pad and just a tiny dollop of fine cut cleaner and about, I don't know, 8 seconds of buffing. So a little bit goes a long way. So it'll even look better once we get the high-speed compound or high-speed polish on it. Anyway, I'll set you up in the tripod, let you see a little bit of what I'm doing here, and we'll get to work. Well, we did a whole lot of buffing, a little bit of sanding, and some painting. And really, honestly, guys, the transformation has been pretty incredible on this little machine. Let's take a walk around and I'll show you some of the things that we've done on the way to getting this thing road ready and somewhat presentable for the general public. We buffed the paint and we did a little bit of wet sanding as needed. We replaced the door weather seals and the window felts. Did some paint work to these D pillars, made them look a little bit more presentable. Also the C pillars, did some paint work there. Those look a lot better. Of course, we rehung and repainted our rear spoiler after we tore it off after painting it the first time. We found ourselves a new Nissan Pathfinder spare tire cover. Did a quick paint job to the rear rack. We painted and hung a new fender, the wrong fender, but another fender nonetheless. We did a paint job to the front grille, along with some new headlights, new bulbs, and new driving lights. The bumper is still to be done, I guess, at some point in the future, because we just haven't found one of those yet. I've yet to be able to find one of those that I'm happy with. Junkyards are full of them, but all of them are as bad or worse than mine. So at some point, maybe in the future, you'll see that. So we gave our wheels a nice coat of paint and our tires. Remember, guys, if you're going to paint your wheels, paint your tires too. Go the extra mile. No, seriously, that'll just wipe off with some acetone. I just haven't gotten to that point yet, but I will. I'm not so sure I like the color of the wheels. I'm gonna let it sit there for a little bit and see if it grows on me. If not, I'll run down to my local O'Reilly and get some Argent Silver mixed up and we'll paint it with that. I don't know, we'll see. Also painted the running boards while I was at it to match the wheels and the front bumper and the front grille. We replaced the interior with one from a junkyard. It looks much better than what we had. We repaired our tack. Now it works perfectly. Fuel gauge works now. Found a replacement steering wheel out of a junkyard. Now all the buttons work as they should. We found via eBay a replacement sunroof shade, which is an extremely rare thing to find. We recovered the headliner piece I'm not even sure what you call that, but we recovered it and it looks much better. And under the hood, it's freshly serviced, new fluids, new battery, new belts, new hoses, fresh coolant, AC service, timing belt job, replacement water pump, and pretty much everything under the hood that needs to be done to one to make it reliable. I'm sure I left something out of all that. We've done a few videos on this thing, but for 900 bucks and the time that we put in it and the parts that we put in it, it ain't half bad. So the little Pathfinder has undergone one heck of a transformation since the day we bought it, but I think we're basically done with it for now. Guys, I really appreciate you watching this, and if you want to catch up more on this this Pathfinder series, there's quite a few videos. Go check them out. I'll put a link right up there to the whole series. Anyway, appreciate you watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. Guys, I'll see you next time.